Assuming you keep up proper maintenance like tire rotations and oil changes, how many miles should a new car last before it starts to have any real problems? Look into your owner's manual. There is far more than oil changes and tire rotation. You have to understand exactly what and when is needed if all proper maintenance is done, and you drive it properly, i.e. letting the oil warm up fully before redlining it, etc. A car can easily last you 200k. Also read up on preventative maintenance for your specific car. Depends on the car. I have taken a Toyota over 400k without any major repairs or real problems. These days, 200k at least. Depending on what you drive, you might have a lot of warranty left. After that's up, expect to reach 200 before the transmission starts to have issues. Also expect a brake replacement by 90k and maybe a CV axle, ball joint or something similar along the way. If your car is a solid brand like Honda and you keep up with the recommended maintenance schedule, it should easily hit 200k miles without any major issues. It's only 4 years old. That's not even 13 of the way through its lifespan. You likely won't have to worry about age-related issues for quite a while. It greatly depends on the car, and it isn't nearly as uncommon to need major work well under the numbers people in this thread are saying. If I keep up with oil and maintenance, I expect any modern car to comfortably make it to about 200 or beyond. If it doesn't, it was a cheap car or a really big vehicle like a truck or SUV, which don't last as long. 2. Doing basic maintenance. I've never had to do any sort of major repair on any car I've ever owned. I had an old Dodge Intrepid that was over 150,000 miles before I was ready to get rid of it and get a new car. I had a Volvo that got up to 350,000 miles before the power steering started leaking fluid and didn't work anymore, and at that point it wasn't even worth fixing. I bought a used Ford Fusion for like 4k that started with 40,000 miles on it. Damn. I miss old used car prices, and I took it to 130,000 before selling it, with no issues. Mazda 3 made it to 100,000 before I traded it in. I think the first car that will break that rule for me is the BMW 5 Series I'm driving now. However, I got it for a pretty good deal, 21k with 19,000 miles on it, and I'm at 90,000 miles now with still no repairs. So what I'm saying is, if I ever end up having to do a major repair under 100,000 miles, I am never buying that brand again, because it is not my experience that should ever be the case. And truly, I really want it to be 200,000. I just have ended up replacing vehicles for various reasons before that good deal on a trade-in usually. For example, I loved that Mazda 3, but the dealership gave me 11,500 for it 5 years after I bought it for 13k. I'm at 85k miles on my 2016 KA, and the serpentine belts were changed at the recommended mileage. There are 2 on my car, and it was the most costly of my scheduled maintenance services at 750, and that included the AC flush and maintenance. Both belts were starting to show wear and tear, and having this done meant the warranty was valid up to 100k miles. I'm driving a 2019 Hyundai that had 34,000 on it, and it wasn't until it hit just over 1 bang that I had to get new brakes put on. I have a 2012 Outback with 68,000 miles and do not as often as I should oil changes. The only problems I've had is with the AC. The Freon just disappears. They did a system pressure test and found no leaks. Depends on the model and luck. We've got a second-hand car with now more than 300 km on it, and it runs perfectly. Just keep up regular maintenance. I mean, you can always be unlucky, but as long as you keep up maintenance, they can last a decent time. Depend on the car model. Mazda and Honda seem to last forever before something major breaks. Then replace the part and it is another decade before you realize. VW will have the usual problems 6-7 years down the line regardless of how you treat it. Oil leak, water pump guarantee will break around that time. This is with regular service. They try to charge me repairs higher than the value of the car at the last service car, roughly 12 years old. Other makes don't have experience. I put 270k on an Accord. Took decent care of it. That depend more on the car, and sometimes what day of the week your car was assembled. You should be able to expect 100k at least before major drivetrain issues. If your manual has a timing belt replacement coming up, 90k or whatever, then don't neglect to do that many ppl do and then need to buy a new engine. It totally depends. If you buy a Ferrari, you can expect expensive repairs to happen instantly and frequently. If you buy a Honda, you might go over 100k before you pay for any major repair. I bought a 1984 Chevrolet in 1969, and now with over 1,000 miles on it, she's still running fine. Batteries, tires, brakes, fan belt, a muffler and wipers, that's all. Depends on the car, but we traded in our Honda Odyssey at around 300K and it never had any issues. Maybe replaced the brakes once or twice.